Hi Sue, just come in from out taking photos of the garden. So, and it's quite windy out here, a bit cloudy, sun now and then, patches of sun. So I sent you those little giffies of the waving hands in the clouds. I'll send you some information also written for you to read, some light reading over the weekend. And I'm just going to go through the movements of the waving clouds with, like just some pointers to show you. And if you looked at the last video, we were doing stepping to the side. So practice that by itself, just a few steps this way and that way, one way and then come back the other way. And the harder part is to actually coordinate the top from to the bottom. So I'm going to show you the movements just stationary. Okay, so our movements are the upper body. We've got our waist, of course, we've got our dantian, and we're using our upper body to turn. So our hips aren't turning with the whole body as we do our waving hands, and that's where we get all of the meridians to work internally. So if we just put our hands on our hips, this is our hips here, my hips, and we're going to turn the upper body. So you'll feel a slight movement here in the waist. From one side, bring it back to the centre and then to the other, trying not to move the hips too far. So sometimes it's a little bit hard and it depends on your flexibility. So if we were holding a ball in front and we've got our elbows in, that's the part of the body that's moving from the waist. Not sure whether you can see that, but we're trying not to move the whole body as we do the movement. Now that's the turning of the body and the moving of the hands. So let's look at the hands, and we're going to bring our hands up as we have, open and close, just one for now. So we're taking our hands to your right, and your left hand is on top, your right hand is towards the dantian, as if we are holding something in front, like a balloon or a baby. So using that waist movement or the dantian, we're taking them from the centre and to the side. And we're going to bring them back to the other side, just using the waist so it's not a big movement. Swap the hands over so the lower one becomes the upper one. The upper one becomes the lower one. And bringing the hands back, using the waist, swap over. This is just the basic movement. Bring the hands back, try not to use the hips or the rest of the body, swap over and back. Swap over. And you don't need to practice this for too long, depending on what exercise you've been doing and how your back is. Swap over and back. So it's just this area here. Try not to use the lower part of my body. So this part here. So it's not our hips. That's really important that we're not using our hips, because once we include the stepping, we do tend to actually use the whole body, because that's what we're used to when we walk. Some people walk with their hips and some people walk just as an upright with their legs. Some people walk with their shoulders. So we want to try and do a nice comfortable walking when we step, and that'll be in the next group of lessons. But it's important to use this exercise for that waving hand. So if you're to do this sitting, which I'm going to show you now, that's probably the easier way of doing the exercise or the practice. I might just unbutton my shirt. It may or may not be easier to see. And I think you've got the concept. Let's just do that, straighten it all out a bit, apart from the big lumps and bumps. So my waist is here, my dantian is here. And that's where our energy comes from, that area there. So if I rest my hands here and I'm turning, My hips won't be moving anywhere because I'm sitting, so that prevents me from moving. So it's a slight movement one way, coming back, and a slight movement the other way and come back. And this is a good exercise if you do it gently for the muscles down in the lower back. So let's have a look at that movement. We've brought our hands up, we've held the ball, we've done our open and close, and we're going to take our hands over to your left with your right hand on top. I might not have shown you that standing, so we're taking them to the side using the waist, swapping over and bringing them back. Swap over. Don't worry today whether you're doing that full waving hands movement, but it's important to do it correctly and safely. So our shoulders are moving, the whole torso is moving. Okay, let's hold our ball and don't do the hands. So we're moving our hands from the centre over to your left side. Go straight through and go to your right side. Straight through left and right. So this whole area of our body is moving. We're not doing it just with our shoulders. That's the other important thing. We're not just moving our arms from one side to the other. Our head is going in the direction of our body. So if you think about the ball, you're looking at your ball or towards the ball or in that direction, head straight in front. So as we go to our left, our head comes over to the left and we're still looking above that ball or towards the ball. Coming back and our head's coming over this way. Because I'm doing the video, my thought is to look straight ahead at the video. But that's the movement that we're doing. So if we include our waving hands, the one on this side drops down, the other one comes over. This one is facing in, so it's from the rehabilitation point of view, it's giving us our love, it's giving us the energy here in front, the warmth. Could be another way. And our hands are facing in and they're parallel this way. As we take our hands across, we're using our dantian. And just turn the top hand, bring the other hand up, and then come back. We'll look at that a bit more in focus next week. Turn, coming back. So if you were doing it in front of a mirror to see your own body, you can see that one hand, the one that's up here, as you're moving from one side to the other, and you're using your waist, that's coming over to this shoulder. And then you swap over and it's coming back to this shoulder. And I'm not using my arms, I'm just using here. And again, it depends on flexibility. So if I had limited flexibility, one's over the other. If I had limited flexibility, I might just come to here, swapping over and to here. It just depends on how you are. It might be that smaller movement. And when we include our footwork next week, you will see how the movement grows because we're moving direction. So the whole body is moving that way and turning and pivoting. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of the waving hands. I'll stop the video there and you can just do a small practice. That's actually, I'm up to the 9 minutes here, so that's a fair amount of practice. You don't need to do that much practice because you will become a bit muscle sore if you do it for too long. So practice it sitting and maybe practice it standing, but it's a good one to practice sitting and it's a good exercise for all of those core muscles. So I'll see you soon. Bye, Sue.